Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to make this weird guy today. This is the KoRn doll that's used on their album cover issues. And I was asked to make this, and I think he turned out absolutely great, so that's why I'm doing a video. And I think he'd be perfect for Halloween. I don't know if there's any KoRn fans out there, but yeah, this is what we're doing today. So you're gonna need some blue buttons. So I have blue buttons, but I don't know if it's too imperative as to what color. Like I'm sure if it's just a great big blue button. This is close to the color that is on the doll in, like, if you look up pictures and stuff like that. The color that I used for this particular guy is from Bernat. It's a burlap is the color, which I thought was oddly perfect. Could not find that color again though, however, so I had to get this, which I think is really close to the color, and this is Soft Taupe by Loops and Threads. It's their Impeccable collection. So I thought it was close enough to do. So all these are built separately. The head is built separately because we have to sew it on sideways, crooked. So let's jump right into this. I am using a 4mm for this. Even though my yarn actually calls for a 5mm. I'm going to go super tight on this because I don't want to see any stuffing at all through anything, any holes. So let's just get right into this guy. Let's measure him just so you guys have an idea. He is about 16 inches in length. And then I don't know, do you want arm span? He's almost a foot. If I extend the arms, he's almost a foot. I mean, holy God, his head alone is like 5.5 inches. So there's my hand compared to him. So he's a good sized doll. So I had to do that in the Oogie Boogie, so that's what I did. Not that the two go together at all, but... So let's just start with the legs. We're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. We're doing this in amigurumi, obviously. That's why I went down in hook size, so you're going to need a stitch marker. So your next round, so no slip stitching, no chaining, that's the amigurumi. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. And I would just like to say, if you're using a yarn that calls for a 4mm G hook, you still need to go down in size, which will make your doll smaller than mine. So, and this is just a normal 4-weight I'm using, but it does call for a 5mm. Anyway, 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first one, that's where your marker goes, and you can put stitch number 2 in that same space. And each space around gets 2 single crochets each for a total of 12 when you're done. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So this stitch marker is the first single crochet, number 1. So your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. When you're done this, you're going to have 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So bringing up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So this is what you should have. For the next 10 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 10 rows. I don't take my marker out every time, so your next rounds can be 4 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1. My battery's gonna die. 2, 3, and 4, and then your decrease. So I'm going to do invisible ones, which are done in the front loops. This will bring you down to 20 stitches. So we can start putting some stuffing in this guy. So for the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of which should be 20 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. All the way around should give you 16 stitches when you're done. For the next 3 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring it down to 12 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your decrease. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then we can fasten off. So you just have 12 stitches. So I'm going to fasten off. You're going to need a whip stitch tail and a sewing tail. Go into your next stitch and pull this through to the other side. Makes your whip stitch look neater. Other than that, there's no other reason for it. So you can finish stuffing this. So once you have it stuffed to your liking, we'll do all the black stuff on it after. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're going to whip stitch this closed. And there's our leg. So what I mean by the black stuff is he's got all this going on. Stitches going on. So we'll do that after. We'll do that as part of this chapter. This is going to be in chapters. But all we're doing in chapter 1 is the arms and the legs, which look really, really similar, but the arm's a little smaller. So that's what we're going to get done. So the arm we're going to do next, and like I said, it is a little bit smaller. And then we'll do all of our black stitches, and that'll be it for chapter 1. The patterns for the legs and arms will be at the end of chapter 1 for you to make your second one. So the arm starts off just about, I mean, it's just about the same design. It's just shorter. So we're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, giving you 12 stitches. Next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. So your next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So this will bring you up to 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then the next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So bring it up to 24 stitches. So same size as the leg. So, exact same roundness of the leg, but for this one you're only going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 rows. The leg we did 10. This one we're doing 8 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I will see you on the other side. So that's my 8 rows. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That is 4 single crochets, and then I'm still doing invisible. So you should have 20 stitches. For the next 3 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So, you can start stuffing this, because we're going to be finished fairly shortly. A few more rows. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 16 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then a decrease. And repeat. So for the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. And we'll see you on the other side. If I still have a voice. Darn allergies. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 2 and a decrease. This brings you down to 12 stitches, and then I want you to just follow it up with 3 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that is it. You can fasten off and then finish stuffing your guy. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and bring him around again. Sorry, I keep sneezing because of my allergies, and then I can barely talk. It's just allergies. So, once you've got it stuffed to your satisfaction, we're just going to whip stitch it shut. So, now that we've got all of our stuff done, I'm going to put my screen up that has my patterns on it for the legs and the arms. Get your second ones built, and then I will meet you back here to do all the black stitching. And then that'll be the end of the chapter. So now that you've got both your pieces done, we need to get some black. I'm going to use this 2/8 cotton again. I don't know. I think I'll use this black. We'll just see how this black works. I think it might be too thick. This is a red heart, so It's a little on the thicker side, but we'll try it. We'll see how it works. So, this is the arm that I have. So it's just stitches. There's none of these stitches on the arms or the legs, but you have to go up through the middle, around, and then both sides. So it is a little weird. I did this without it being sewn on. This one arm has some hair on it, so if you want to get gross and do that. So first I started just by going around. So I'm probably 1, 2, 3, 4th stitch. I'm just grabbing a post. Sorry, I'm just totally losing my voice. So don't pull it all the way through. Like, leave some hanging. And then I just went in the next stitch, grab the next post. And then I just kept doing that. So from here, I just went the next stitch, grab the next. That's all I kept doing. This is for the legs anyway. All the way around. So we work in a spiral, so it's not going to be completely even when we come back around. But that's okay. Just continue. I'm going to zoom out a titch just in case I go offline or off camera. So I'm not necessarily in the holes, I'm just trying to keep it straight. So I started off in the stitches, but as I go around, I'm just trying to keep it straight now. So I'm not necessarily in any stitches. But this is just a little zombie, guys. There's no right or wrong answer. So once you're all the way around, so from here, I want to make sure that I'm even with where I, like sideways. And then I'm just going to start coming up this way. So once you get to the top, you're just gonna squiggle across. And then nobody really sees that. And then you just come back down this side. And that is it. So go ahead, do your arms, your legs, with all your stitching and everything. And I will meet you back here for chapter 2, where we're going to do the body and the head. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So chapter 2 is going to be the body and then the head, sewing everything together, finishing it all up. So let's jump right into this. So I'm still using my 4mm, and we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. So your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and this will give you 12 stitches. But after the first stitch, that's when your marker goes in. next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, bringing you up to 18 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch gets your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Sorry guys, my allergies are killing me. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this brings you up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 30 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 36 stitches. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 42 stitches. That's 5 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your last increase round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring you up to 48 stitches, and that's as far as we go. So that's number 1. So this is what you should have. You should have 48 stitches. For the next 10 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. We don't need to start stuffing it yet, but soon. So we're going to start decreasing, and we're going to do a 6 single crochet decrease. This will bring you back down to 42 stitches. So we're kind of keeping an order of the way we went up. We're going to go back down the same way. So that's number 1. That's 6 single crochets, and then I do invisible decreases. A regular decrease is into the full stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. An invisible decrease, the way I do it, is, and that leaves gapping. A regular decrease leaves the gapping. I just use the front loops. I go into the loop and I pop around and I go into the second loop. Then I yarn over, pull through, finish the stitch. So that's how I do an invisible, and it is way less gapping than the other way, but you can do whatever decrease you want to do. 6 single crochet decrease all the way around. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 36 stitches. And then I want you to follow it up with a 1 single crochet in each stitch. That'll all be on my screen. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets and then a decrease. So follow the screen prompts and I will see you on the other side. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochet decrease, and this will bring you down to 30 stitches. And then I want you to follow it up with 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and a decrease. So follow your screen prompts and I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 24 stitches. And then I want you to follow that up with 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 24 stitches. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 18 stitches. And then that's going to be followed up by 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. That's 2 single crochets and then your decrease. So this is what you should have. We need to stuff this because we only have 1 more row left to do, and then 1 more round left to do, and then we're going to close it up. The head is built separate and sewn to the body because it needs to be sewn on cockeyed. So your last round, you're still going to be able to get your fingers in there to stuff it. Your last round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. And this will bring it down to 12 stitches. So you're still going to have plenty of room to keep stuffing it. We're going to do a large hole cinch, which always looks decent. So 1 single crochet decrease all the way around. That's it. You can fasten off with a cinching tail. The head is built from the top down, so we'll use that for a sewing tail. So you can finish stuffing it. So it kind of needs to be in a teardrop shape. That's the shape he kind of needs to be in, because that's how I designed him. So make sure it's well stuffed at the top, because we're sewing our head to this part. So once you're satisfied with your doll, so you're going to go in the front loop and then out the next front loop. Just like that. In and out all the way around. So it's my last stitch, so I'm just going to go in. So you're going to want to pull it. And then I pop across, and I do that and go through the loop to tie a knot in both directions. You can do whatever you want. It's just added security for me. And then I weave. So when you weave, go in as close as you can to your lead. Pop out somewhere, that way it just looks like a stitch. They say 3 times, 3 different directions, but depending on the situation, you know. So your little teardrop, this is what you should have. So again, I put the lines on before I sewed everything together, but we're just going to move on to the head. Get my other ball, because I know I'm going to have to start another ball partway through. This is all I have left. This was a 3.5 ounce ball. I did the 2 arms, 2 legs, the body. So probably a 7 ounce ball. If you can get a 7 ounce ball, a 5 to 7 ounce ball, we'll probably build this guy. So we're going to start off with a magic ring of 8 single crochets. That's my 8 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, so this will give you 16 stitches. If you struggle with the first stitch like I do, especially with this loops and threads crap, I don't like loops and threads, by the way. Can't stand their yarn. It's slippery, it breaks. Hate it. So that's number 1. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around to give you 16 stitches. That is 16. So I'm going to pull your middle closed. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. This will bring you up to 24 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet. So the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 32 stitches. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. The next round is going to be 3 single crochet. This is your last increase round, so 3 single crochet increase will bring it up to 40 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase, and repeat. So you should have 40 stitches. For the next 12 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So you can probably start filling this, but this is what 12 rows should look like. We're going to do a decrease, and then we're going to do 5 more rows, so you're going to have plenty of time to stuff this. So because it is a little wrinkly up here because of what we started with, just make sure that you're getting right down in there and packing it, just so the head looks nice and round at the top. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 32 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then I got fuzzies on my. And then your decrease, and repeat. So for the next 5 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 32 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 5 rows. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 24 stitches, and then I want you to follow it up with a 1 single crochet in each stitch, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This is what it should look like. So we're going to stuff it, finish stuffing it, or finish, can't really finish, we're not done yet, but we got 3 more rows to do. But we are going to be decreasing to a small hole decrease, or a small hole cinch, sorry. So we need to just continue to stuff it all the way down, since we won't be able to get our spinners in there later. Just making sure I'm packing it properly for the top part. That's going to be visible. I'm going to put some hair on it, but it's going to be visible. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. This brings you down to 16 stitches. And then I want you to follow that up with 1 single crochet in each of the 16 stitches. So I will see you on the other side. So that is the last 2 rows. Well, not the last. We've got to decrease and fasten on. So make sure that this is filled properly all the way up to the top. Okie dokie. So, I'm going to decrease 8 times, so I don't need my marker anymore. I'm going to decrease 8 times in a row. So that is it, and go into your next stitch and fasten off with a sewing tail. So we're going to attach this with a mattress stitch because that is the best kind of stitch to use in this situation. So we're going to cinch this shut. So just make sure that you've got this completely to the top. It's super important. I can get a finger in there still, so it's super important that you get up underneath this part. Because that's usually where the wrinkled part comes from. When you cinch, that's probably good. So again, you're going to go in the front loop, out the front loop. And my last stitch, I go up. I'm going to pull that closed. I'm going to pop across. Go through the loop. I'm going to pop across this way. Go through the loop. So my 2 knots are done. I want to weave just over to here to start my sew, because that's about where I'm going to be when I start my mattress stitch. So that's why I've done that. But before we do any kind of sewing, we need to put all this black sew stuff onto our guide. So get your black and meet me right back here. So these are all the black marks I'm talking about. So we've already done the arms and the legs outside of the little hair on the arms. We can do that later. So we need to do all of this and that, and then do this little part on the body. So get your body and get whatever black you need. So now that we've got our black and everything, it doesn't really matter where you start on this thing because it's got nothing going on. So you don't need to start directly at the bottom either. You can kind of start up here on the side where somebody's going to see something. So don't pull this all the way through. And we just proceed to make our stitches. So when I do that, I come back around and I go back up. And that just kind of makes your crosshatch stitch. Then I'm going to make another small one over here. You don't need to do what I do. I mean, it's completely up to you what you do. You just have to make it look like a stitch. Stitches. So you can do them short, you can do them long. You can do them any way you want to. So that's my side stitches, and then I'm going to go back down this side and doing the same thing. So I just want to make sure that I'm going to be stopping in the same space. That's about it. So I just did a little bit different on that side than I did that side. That's all you kind of got to do. So I'm going to pop up from here to my chest. So you can decide where on your chest that you want to put this. And then you just got to do some scar tissue up here. This one's not so long. And then you can just pop out wherever. I'm just going to pop out the top. So most of this gets white put on it. But that's going to be his wound in his chest. He's got a chest wound. So you can just cut off your black. You don't really need to weave it or do anything. And that is that. So, get some white. We'll do the chest wound first. You're going to get the white. I just want you to wrap. I don't know how many times. And then cut it. And then you're going to take this and on your little wound here, try not to cover up the whole bunch of stitches. But, oh, I'm stuck on something. Not sure what I'm stuck on. I am stuck on a piece of black or something. Can't seem to get past it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm stuck on. There we go. So, you just attach it like we attach hair. Just like I said, don't cover up too much. So that's probably good for me. So I am going to take each piece. It just makes my life easier to unravel these pieces before I brush them or cut them, because it only takes a few seconds to unravel. So you gotta definitely make sure you have just regular 4-weight yarn. Worsted will not be the same. You won't be able to unravel it easy enough. It's milled differently. So you want to find a brush of sorts. So once you get it furry, and then we cut it. So cut it off fairly short, because it's just supposed to look like it's popping out of his chest. So it ends up nice and furry, but not furry as in fur. So supposed to replicate stuffing. So let's go on to do our marks on our head. There's no marks on the head around. There is just this stuff. This is just his eye got sewn up because he lost it. And then his mouth, and then a little bit of hair on top. So get your head. We'll do the mouth first. So I'm going to be sewing in this area. So 1, 2, 3, I don't know. Between the 3rd and 4th row. Maybe the 4th. So pick wherever you want your mouth to start. And again, don't pull all the way through. So first you're going to make your big mouth line. And then wherever you pop out is where your first little cross member is going to be. Oh, I went too low. Make sure you stay in the right the right row. Yeah, just make sure you stay in the right row. So I'm up here to already start my little thing. So all you need to do is come down straight below that and then pop out where you want your next one to start. And just keep repeating that. So I'm already over to the other side again. I'm going to pop up here where I have to start making his scar for his eye socket. So that's my mouth. And then I've got to make a little scar up here. So go down to where you want it to stop. And then he's got a couple of little stitches. One is big and then one is small. And then that's it. You can just pop out wherever. Easy peasy. And then we find a button. Get my thumb out of my scissors. So he has a great big button for an eye. And in most of the pictures it is navy blue. but I don't have a bigger button that's navy blue. I just got this small little button that's navy blue. So I think I'm just going to use this guy. So it's not navy blue, but it's blue. So you get these thing of buttons, and they literally gave me one great big navy blue eye. That was it. I don't have a matching one. So get some yarn. Have to use a regular needle. So my battery's gonna die, so if it does, I'll meet you right back here. So, funny story, when my camera battery dies, it doesn't actually beep at me and let me know that it died, so I have no idea where it stopped filming, but that's my eye sewn on. And now we just get to sew this all together. So, like I already stated before, the head gets sewn on crooked on the side. So it's very awkward to do. But his head has to be sewn on like that. Oh, sorry. His head has to be sewn on like that. So it's very hard to do. I've got these long pins, and that's what I use to kind of try to hold it in place a little bit while I sewed. So I am doing a mattress stitch. So I grab a little bit of the body. Alright, just want to make sure his head is going to be straight. Well, not straight, but anyway, I grab a little bit of the body, and then I grab some of the head. And I do that in little small stages all the way around. And don't pull it right away. We can pull it after. So it doesn't really matter where you're grabbing, but just grab as little as possible because you don't need a whole bunch to grab. So now you're coming down into the chest because you gotta follow the head. So I am back around. So I've got all my sew things, and now I'm gonna pull. So his head should be still sideways. And I like to go around a second time, generally. But, I take my pins out. If you don't have enough to go around a second time, then you don't have to worry about it. So now I change my spots. Now I go one row higher and one row lower on where I grab. And I do that all the way around. If you're using acrylic yarn, it shouldn't break, because you do kind of stretch it out a little bit in one spot, but it shouldn't break if it's acrylic. And it just gives a really good hold, so there's not going to be any wobble. This is how I like to sew all my heads on. If I have to sew them on, I usually choose not to, but So once you're satisfied with your head and the way it's sewn on, then you can just kind of come in here to start your weave. Now keep in mind, some of this is going to be stretched out, so weave pretty far, because as you can see, this is all stretched. So the weaving, the point of the weaving isn't really going to come into play until you get into this thicker part that's not stretched. So it's not going to kill you to weave in and out a lot different than what you would normally do. So that's the beginning. That's the beginning of your guy. So now his arms and his legs. Oops. Just knocked my arm down. So this can just be a whip stitch or a regular a whip stitch or a mattress stitch. But you have to make sure that you're lining up your where your sew spots are. So if you sew it on with a mattress stitch, there's really no need to worry about anything. And I wouldn't sew underneath the arm, because then his arm's going to be stuck up, and that's no good for anybody involved. So that's how I did it. Then I just went into this corner just so the corner's not popped up, and I pulled, went down into this corner, and I'm just going to pop out his back because that's where I'm going to meet up. Just make sure you're coming through an actual hole. And that's when I'm going to meet up with my other straggler from sewing my other arm on. And his legs I sewed on right at the magic ring, around that area. So there we have it. The KoRn doll from the album Issues. All done. So I lined up his legs with his sides. Same thing over here. I think you get it. Anyway. So this is your KoRn doll. So the last thing we need to do is put some little bit of hair on top. A little bit of hair on the arm, because that's, if he has hair on his arm, I don't know. And that is it. So just a little bit of black. Just going to kind of wind up like we did the white. Get all my fingers in there. So same thing we did with the white, we're just doing it with the black. So you can make it fuzzy or not. Ah, I just cut my finger, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just cut my finger. How the heck do you do that? Anyway, so you just do the same thing that you did with the white. Take your little pieces, fold it in half. Now, he doesn't have hair all in one spot. It's just kind of sporadic on the top of his head. And then he's got a little bit on his arm. Again, I don't know the reason why. I don't listen to KoRn. I know nothing about KoRn. I was just asked to make this, so I thought I would do a video. Since he turned out like the picture I was sent. So I'm probably just going to do 3 or 4 pieces. I'll just do 3 pieces on his arm. So, I don't know if you want to brush this out or not. I don't think it's super duper important to make it fuzzy, but it's up to you, I suppose. If you want to make it all fuzzy, I would again pull it all out first if you're not using worsted weight. It would probably look better, little fuzzies on his, because I think that's what it's supposed to represent, are these little fuzzies. Peach fuzz, or whatever you want to call it. Now it's a little fuzzy. Here we go. I might cut that shorter after. Anyway, there we go. So, thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.